It's Lil Baby.
Welcome to a special edition of Conversations with Chai. I got after Chai though. I got with me my boy Yash. Can I see my boy Yash?
Hello, everybody.
And I have fresh off of Fashion Week, I got my girl Alysha. Yo, what's up?
Hey.
Hello. Yo, guys, I have no vibes for this, as I said before, but I do want to hear something. You just did Fashion Week in Paris.
Yes.
How's Paris?
Honestly, it's kind of a dirtier New York, but the vibes were great for Fashion Week.
Yo, I have like a running theory on Paris, right? I think that people just gassed it because like of movies and like what the culture around it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that like Paris is like all of that.
Yeah.
So how many people did you see like drinking wine at lunchtime while smoking a cigarette? Because that's all I think of for Paris.
I feel like even the rats were smoking cigarettes in Paris. Like it was actually insane.
Do you think that like when you think about like, or when I think about like culture, right? Like I think of like New York.
Yeah.
Like I think like when people talk about like, oh, these places have such great culture, right? I'm all like, yeah, but like you really haven't like real culture is like New York, right? Because there's so many facets of what culture like looks like, right? Like when you were in Paris, right? Like obviously like you went out for Renee's, right?
Yes.
She's amazing, right?
She's so talented and she's just a great person in general.
Yeah, no, like you could tell, like just like her energy, everybody says like really good things. Her fashion is like so like out of like everybody who did South Asian New York Fashion Week like last year or 2 years, the first year, bro, I like immediately fell in love with like her designs. I was like, yo, this is like so fire. Yeah, but no, I think like when people think about like New York, right? Like I think for that us, like that's like real culture.
I 100% agree. I feel like there wasn't a lot of diversity at all in terms of food or fashion or people or anything at all. And when you think of New York, you see all of the different neighborhoods and boroughs like coming together to really amplify, you know, the culture or the type of people that are living in that neighborhood. And that didn't happen at all in Paris. And I was there for like a good week. So I bounced around a lot and I just kept seeing the same food, the same people, the same everything.
I think that's probably why they don't really associate like culture to New York, is because New York culture is just so diverse, right? Yeah. Like it's not like a singular monolith of like culture, right? There's just so many like little like niches, right? But to me, like that's like true. When I think about like American culture, like that's what I think about, right? Like the whole like melting pot thing, like that is basically what New York is in terms of like culture. But how was I know you've been like posting now that you've been getting the Fashion Week things.
Yeah, no, it was actually insane. I always talk about how when I walk the runway, I usually kind of black out and like zone out, and I'll walk and I'm like, oh wait, that just happened. But the show was really intimate, and I feel like for the first time I was actually experiencing every single step that I was taking. I could hear what everyone was saying around me. I could like see every individual, and like it was just like I was so in the moment, which was something new for me. So it was a really cool experience.
Nah, that's fire. And like you've been now like posting it on social, so I'm assuming DMs opportunities going crazy.
Yeah, no, it's been amazing. I actually my reels went viral for the first time. I've never had anything like blow up like this, and it's been interesting to see the comments, because I've actually gotten an outpour of like amazing support and messages, and people being like, hey, I'm, you know, like not tall and I didn't even know this was a possibility for me. So like, thank you for showing me that this is possible and that I can do something and I can push myself. So thank you for inspiring me. But then on the flip side, there's a ton of people who are like, oh, so they're just putting anyone on the runway now. Like, damn. You're short. You don't look like a model.
Are you really short? How tall are you?
I'm 5'3".
Oh, what the fuck? I would not have guessed that. Like, you just walked in. I thought you were like a lot taller. That's insane to me. Wait, talk about it. So like how does that feel?
Yeah, people are outraged. And yeah, I mean, before I started modeling, I didn't think twice about my height. It wasn't anything that bothered me. I didn't even realize I was short, you know? Like I was like, I'm an average like height girl. Like it wasn't anything that struck me as odd. But in the modeling industry and in the modeling world, especially in New York and especially in runway, the minimum height to walk the runway is 5'9" as a girl. And so anyone, like, I mean, sometimes you'll see like 5'8", 5'7", but usually it's between 5'9" and 5'11". And so if you're significantly below that, which I am, it's kind of like the exclusivity of runway and modeling disappears, right? Because it becomes so inclusive. Same thing when like someone who's on the plus size end or the curve end, everyone's like, well, that's not how it's supposed to work. That's not how it's supposed to be. So you're like ruining it instead of breaking barriers.
Yo, Alysha just felt what me and Yash feel walking around New York all the time at 5'9". like damn, Yash is like, yo, like I faced this struggle for real.
Well, I mean, I'm not too into the modeling or the fashion industry, right? But I feel like ideally these models should be representing different demographics that are present in our world, right? So you have the plus sizes, you have like the tall people, the not so tall people, like every which way. They should have representation for that, right?
That's the part I don't get when I see like model criticism, right? Because I'm or this is maybe my understanding of it, and like correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like when I think about like, hey, you're modeling a fashion, you're modeling like a product, right? So wouldn't you want like the end consumer to see, like if I see like Becky and like all of them rocking something, right? I'm not going to identify with like, yo, I'm about to wear that, right?
Exactly.
Because it's like, yo, like that's like their body type, their swag, right? But if I see like, yo, for example, if I see like Alysha and I'm like a brown girl who is 5'3", right? I'm going to be like, yeah, I want that product. So if the end goal is to sell something, wouldn't you want to hit your consumer bases? Like that's the part that I don't understand about like feedback. Honestly, like I think that most people don't care about like the whole purity of modeling, and people are just here to hate.
Yeah, no, 100%. They're like some of the comments were even so crazy. They were like, "This is edited." I'm like, "Well, yeah, of course. It's a reel. I edited it like to fit the reel format." And they're like, "No, like why are you editing your videos?" I'm like, I don't understand the hate. I'm confused.
I think like what it comes down to is like a lot of people like like when we think about like model, right? Like we just think about like somebody who's just like yo, if they were walking down the street, like drop dead gorgeous, right? Or like they're just like they would just stand out in the crowd, right? And like maybe to a degree, right? But like model is like any other profession. Like you're getting to work, right? Like you're getting to work. It's about like not just like how you look, right? It's like the uniqueness of your look. There's so many facets to it that I don't think people understand. And I think that's why it is probably just hate for you. It's like people sitting at home like, oh, damn, like I didn't think I was pretty enough to like, you know what I'm saying? Like that type of shit.
100%. And I feel like the bigger thing also is like not even height, but there is like almost 0 to none like South Asian representation in the wider modeling world. Like I know, especially in New York and LA, like we've created pockets of our South Asian community and we've been so supportive and encouraging of that and created kind of our own world. But if you step outside of it, there are not many South Asian models. One, because it's not encouraged. And two, it's almost like these brands like forgot a consumer base or like don't know we exist. And I think influencers are breaking that mold. And I think now South Asian models are breaking that mold.
Yo, I'm so glad you brought that up. And that's something that like, yo, like I'm gonna tell y'all as like my friends, right? Like that's like the part that I'm really trying to like put out there. Like, yo, Wolf put out a podcast, right? Where he was all like, yo, like your everything like we do at some level, whether it's your time or your money, is an exchange, right? So why wouldn't you like go put your time and money? And that's what we haven't done really as South Asians, right? Like we haven't stopped and said like, yo, like fuck this brand because they don't have anything that really speak to me, right? Like we just end up consuming whatever the fuck that they put in front of us, right? But if we all collectively came back and said like, nah, like if Alysha or Ashna aren't getting this look inside this product, bro, I'm not going. Like I'm just not going, right? Because like until you make somebody feel like, yo, we need to pay attention to this consumer base, they're not. And think about it, financially, we have that power, right? Like South Asians are balling. Software money, modeling money, tech money, finance money. We have all the money. So it's not like, oh, we're not a real consumer base. It's like we don't apply the pressure, right? That's like something I'm really trying to personally do in my, like that's going to be, I think, a tangible, I don't really make New Year's resolutions, but I think that's going to be a tangible 2024 goal where I'm going to, like if I buy like a piece, like I'm going to go buy like a South Asian piece, right? Or like a piece that of somebody that I've aligned with their values, I align with their vision, right? Rather than like, yo, I have a couple $100, let me go buy like some Louis Vuitton wallet, right? Yeah. Because like it is like at the end of the day, like especially with everything that's going on in the world, I'm like such like a true capitalist that like money is like the thing that talks.
No, 100%. And I feel like I like what you said because I think the deeper rooted problem is that for so long as like immigrants or as South Asians, we've been told to blend in, right? And not speak up or not stand out or don't cause noise. And now I think our generation is finally doing that instead of like our parents telling us to blend in, and they're kind of just like, oh, you know, we're like, we came to America to have a better life. Like we should just do what we're told. Now it's like, no, we're going to make noise. We're going to stand out. We matter. We can be creative. We can, you know, do these things. We can be on the faces of billboards and represent things. And that power, I think, is finally happening within our community. And now money needs to be put behind that.
And I think, like it's a little bit, I would say it's a little bit deeper than that, right? Because not only were our parents telling us like, yo, you got to blend in, we, as like our generation, started looking around at people who just hung out with brown people as like a negative thing, right? Like we looked at them like, yo, they were, like think about like, yo, like how people receive, and I'm not saying like anybody up here or anybody, but how people receive They See Saturdays.
Yeah.
Right? Like how people perceive that as like from the outside in, right? They look at it a certain type of way because it is, hey, a bunch of brown people going to enjoy brown music. And we probably even like, oh, like they're just listening to brown, but it's like, it's kind of fly, right? Like take yourselves out of it and take yourselves out of like whatever the situation is. It's kind of fly. Like, that a bunch of brown people every Saturday want to go listen to a Bollywood mix and whatever, right? Yeah. But even like our generation to a little bit kind of looks at that stuff like, is it that cool? Right? Like, and I would say that like, that's probably a disservice to like each other, right? Like we don't look at like, hey, like, I'll even say it for myself, right? I'm sure you feel it in like modeling, right? I don't feel the level, like, I feel like there's certain people that probably don't listen because I'm also brown and they're brown, right? Like they're fine going to listen to like, whoever, right? Like Alex Cooper,
Joe Rogan's, Alex
Huberman, right? Cooper, right? And of course, they're offering a different product, right? But just like everything else, right? They're offering a competing product, right? So if you're, and I'm sure that it happens, right? That you're disqualifying us. It's like, yo, how good can a brown guy from New York really be, right? I don't know. Listen, right? Like, listen, find out, right? Like, really find out. I'm assuming that I was going to ask you this before, and I was going to ask you because you just came back from EDC, shaking, moving and shaking out there. I got this like brought up, and I was like asking somebody this, or they asked me. They were like, "Yo, like I don't think that you're approachable - dateable based off of social media." Do y'all think that's a thing?
I've definitely heard people say to me before, like, hey, like, I've seen what you post, what you do, like you live a very like active life, like you're out there a lot, like you do a lot of different things. Like I don't know if I can like be involved in that because like they could have a very different life. They're more of a homebody. They live a different way. So just obviously the way you perceive yourself or you show yourself online does attract a certain crowd compared to others.
Do you think that like when you say like, hey, like they perceive you, do you think that the perception is accurate? Because I've heard that too, right? And I think that the perception is like wrong, right? Because like you're only seeing the fun stuff, right?
Yeah,
like
it's a highlight reel. Like I'm not going to be posting like me typing away on my laptop doing work. I'm going to post the stuff that like you're following me for. Yeah,
right. Like I think like again, like I'm going to ask like Yash, right? Like I think like when I hop on, right? Like people don't realize like, yo, like because people only see like us out, right? Us going to things, us partying, right? So that ends up being the perception of like, yo, that's who he is. But like, bro, like y'all know me for real, right? It's like, yo, you don't get like the thoughtfulness, right? You don't get the like, hey, I just be sitting and kicking it with the homies most of the times, right? It's just y'all see Friday and Saturday outside, right? Do you think that your perception is accurate?
Definitely not. I agree with what you said. It's a highlight reel, right? But like, you can't really. It's very hard to show your I guess your deeper emotional self on social media. You can post some content related to that, like a lot of like blocks of text, like words, but like. Let's be honest, like we mostly skip through that stuff, right? Like if you open Instagram and you see someone post like a huge story, like maybe sometimes if you know them close enough, like you'll try to read it. But if you don't know them like that, like it's not really something you're too concerned about, right?
Well, that's honestly like a good point because it's also like how you're trying to market yourself and what the delivery comes off of.
Yeah, I think those are two different things.
Right? Because like you probably try to a degree curate like, hey, like my perception of my socials to a degree, right? Like you're posting the things obviously you care about and you're actually doing, but obviously like it's probably like leaning, like for example, like I'll use myself, right? Like I'm definitely leaning towards like, yo, I'm just the pod guy, right? Like that's what I'm like leaning towards, right? Obviously that's not the only part of my personality or character, but of course like that's what I'm trying to like curate around, right? Yeah. So, but I will ask you this, do you think that what you're trying to give off is how it's being received?
I mean, I hope so. I think my whole brand is really like, do I think I'm the most beautiful girl in New York? No.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think I am like drop dead gorgeous model, like you're gonna see me on the street and like try to scout me? No. But I think what I'm trying to do is like break the barrier and break the mold and show people that like hard work, determination, like putting yourself out there, bringing about that confidence, like studying and knowing what you're doing. Can you achieve your goals? Yes. And can you balance that with a full-time career? Yes. And can you like be Muslim, be South Asian, be short, and still like above all that, do what you want to do? Yes. So like hopefully that does come across and that is my brand. Sometimes that probably doesn't come across, but like that's the goal.
I like to heat check that. I don't know if you like Yash, when you're out there like dating, right, or asking those, right? I like to heat check that in just like people. And maybe I don't really even have to ask, because I feel like most people, if they really feel a way, they just give me their opinion unwarranted. Maybe because I'm just like that, like, hey, like go tell me, right? But like I like to hear like, yo, like how is it actually coming off? Because I know what like the goal of it is, right? But I like to know how it's also being received, right? Because that goes like, I think obviously there's like a super famous like Jay-Z quote, right? It's like, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman, right? And people don't realize like if you're just posting on social media, there's two options. You either don't give a fuck about at all, and therefore like you just don't have social media ain't on social media, don't do nothing, fine. But if you're putting anything out there, you are at some point branding yourself.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, and it kind of is sort of a black box. You're putting all this information out into the world, but you don't really know how it's being received, right? So it's important to like do a little checkup every now and then, like not ask around, but like have some conversations. Every now and then I'll hang out with people I haven't seen in a minute, and they'll be like, yeah, like like you're traveling so much, and then I'll be thinking like I haven't been anywhere in the past like 6 months. So like, what are they talking about? So maybe like I just be posting so many things, they just think like I'm doing all these things.
Yeah, I feel like I've gotten that too. Like I had a couple of friends who I was like, hey, like why don't you reach out anymore? Like I thought we were friends. Like we haven't caught up in a while. They're like, oh well, you're always busy. Like you're always posting something. You're always doing something.
Exactly.
Like you're always busy. So like I didn't think you'd want to talk because like you have your own life going on. You have your own thing going on. Like you're too busy. And I'm like, we're friends. Like, why would you think that? Or like before I posted like modeling things, it was like, I was new to New York. I didn't know a single person when I moved here. And the best way to get to know people, in my opinion, was like going to these like pre-games or house parties or like going out on the weekend, because you met so many people. And then like eventually a couple of them, you'd like meet up with for coffee dates later and become friends. So I was doing that a lot my first year. And everyone's like, oh, all you do is party. Like, you're a party girl. All you do is party. Like you're probably hooking up with guys. Like you're doing this, you're doing that. Like it was like I was branded as this person who all I did was like party on weekends.
Yo, I think that is one of the most common misconceptions, right? People assume because you're outside that it means something, right? Yep. Like, bro, you like Yash goes out with me all the time. Like if I go outside, it's with Yash, right? People probably think I'm like the most crazy, wild, like party out here, right? But like realistically, Yash sees it. I'd be outside just standing by the bar talking to the people I already know, right? Like there's no level of like, and I'm really like Yash, like my friends, my brain trust, like they know why I'm really outside, right? But obviously like the masses don't get to go see that. So again, you get branded, oh, he's just a partier, right? Like I heard that like a lot coming up, right? And I'm just like, y'all don't really like see what it actually is outside, right? And that goes into like, I know a lot of people have this like mentality where like social media is just social media, right? And because we all have that level of discernment, but not everybody has that level of discernment. There's probably still a lot of people that are looking at it like, oh, like that's who he is, right? And we don't know like that. And that's why I think the whole point of this being like, it's important to kind of stay mindful of that. Like you could not care, but it's important to stay kind of mindful of that, right? Because you may not want to be perceived, but somebody's perceiving you and you don't know what bag you're fumbling by, whatever perception that it is. We don't know, right?
So you think we should throw a couple farmers markets posts in there, some apple picking orchards? Yeah,
bro. And I know you're joking around about that, but that's literally what guys do. That's literally what guys, like we have friends that literally have posted because those are the ones that people are really gonna swipe off on, right? Like, oh shit, he pumpkin picking. Oh shit, he's so sensitive. He got a fall pick off. Like,
I mean, it's true. Like the first thing girls do, like if we are matching with you on Hinge or Tinder or whatever, is go check out your Instagram, go check out your Facebook. Like we'll do we'll all sit together. Like me and my roommates will sit together. We'll find you across all the social media, stalk you, like check your tag pictures, figure everything out, and then we're like, yeah, okay, continue talking to him or go on a date with him.
Yo, whoa, fan to me real quick. Yo, all of you motherfuckers with a dog, that does not give you game. It's just the dog. Like that is my yo, all y'all with a sleeve tattoo, that cannot be the game. Like I need more sauce than that. Like nah, but I 100% get it, right? Because like this, what do guys look for? Like you know how like girls look for like specific, like, hey, like is this person dateable? What the hell do guys look for?
I feel like that's definitely changed as I've gotten older and, like dated more. I met more people.
Are you about to give me a mature answer, Yash? Or are you about to be like, give me like a real honest answer?
Nowadays, it's more like shared interests. So obviously, like I have my personal criteria. They have to, live in the city. They have to be, like other certain things. Whatever, good career, good ambitions. But yeah, that's the main thing.
So I'm going to ask you a question.
What's up?
How often do you actually ever make it to the second picture?
I scroll through all the way to the end. All the way to the end.
Really? Every person?
Every time.
That is...
You gotta find the right picture to swipe right on, bro. You can't swipe right on the first one. Girls know that.
Oh, no. Okay. But that's a strategy thing.
Huh?
So, no, that's a strategy thing. So,
I don't think of Hinge as a dating app. I just think of it as just like a fun little game you play. like,
So do you go on dates from Hinge?
Not that many.
Yes, he does.
Not that many like serious dates, right?
I'm sure
So you're just like
I'll think, okay, this girl seems cool. Like, yeah, let me go on a date with her, like see what the vibes are. But I feel like I've met more interesting people in person nowadays.
I feel like I hear that a lot. And I'm like, where are you meeting real people and having real, like at a pregame, at the bar? Like, I don't get it. Like, how is that turning into something real?
I think like what he's describing is probably the problem with using like a Hinge or a dating app, right? Because what he's describing is the gamification of dating, right? Like that's why because like everybody who's on like a Hinge or whatever actively, like of course there's some people that are on it passively, but if you're literally on Hinge looking for somebody or just going on 1,000 dates, bro, it has to get formulaic. You know what I'm saying? Like I know like a lot of girls that say like, yo, I know within the first like date that like what this is. Usually, right? Yeah. I know, and like I know guys who have said like I know what it is before I go, right? Like I know what it is. So like you're literally going on these dates like that, and that's why I think people get like frustrated and like just give up on dating apps because it's like yo, like think about it. There's like unlimited amount of people. You are going to go on 99% bad dates.
Yeah. And like, I'm not saying like, I don't take these girls seriously, right? Like I will go on the date. I will like have serious intentions, right? I'm not like, like I am paying, I pay for the first date always, right? Yeah. I always pay for the first date.
Yo, that's how you know Alysha's boy radar is way off. Way off.
Well, I haven't seen his profile and stalked him, so I don't know yet.
I know. You haven't done your due diligence.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yo, while I talk, could you just open up your Hinge profile and just slide it over? I just want to get the critique, bro. Like,
I used to help guys make their Hinge profile.
Oh, how much you charge?
Well,
Is that one of your side hustles? Here.
Yo,
yeah.
Here. Yo, I honestly, everybody listening, this is free game. Go to your closest homegirl, the girl that don't want to fuck you, right? But is actually genuinely your friend, and have her review your Hinge profile. Because I'm telling you, most of y'all doing this all the way wrong, right? Because I see some god awful Hinge profiles.
Same.
Like where I'm just like, bro, you didn't think that this was gonna do it.
Yeah.
You've seen some bad Hinge profiles, I'm sure, right?
I'm not on Hinge anymore, but I've seen, like, I help my roommates out, and they're so terrible. Like, so bad. Like, first of all, why do you have pictures with multiple girls throughout your whole profile if it's not your sister? Like, why? Also, why do you only have group pictures? How do I know who you are?
Yo, see, that's not fair though, because guys can't win, right? Because it's either, yo, he has a bunch of group photos, or damn, he really went out of his way to go take a Hinge profile photo, right? Like he told his boy, yo, come to the park, let's get our Hinge photo shoot off.
In between, like Yash has some good pictures that like didn't make me think like, oh, he went out of his way.
That's because he drag our friends outside and be like, yo, take a picture of me.
I
don't even know the backstory.
There's like 6 good pictures on there.
Are those like your only good pictures?
There only are 6 pictures on Hinge, so there's 6 good pictures on there.
In total, like, are those your only good pictures?
Oh, no. I rotate them around depending on the season.
Hey,
It's like winter now, so I got my ski picture up, you know.
No,
summertime, I'll have more like summertime pictures.
Most guys just like, it's like one and done. You just like put it up and that's all I care about.
Yo, guys, this is who y'all competing with. He's changing it every season. Every season, a new pic. And y'all just here sitting on the same pic from your frat basement in 2019. Bro, compete. Like, nah, that's so funny. Do you really change it based off a season?
Every now and then, yeah. I have some old pictures that I can put back. They're not like inaccurate, you know?
Why? What's like the thesis behind it? Is it like you think that because it's more seasonal, they'll just be like, oh, like let's go do this thing or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, if I match with a girl in June, right, and one of my pictures is like skiing, like that's not happening anytime soon, right? But if it's a picture of me at like a festival or like at Mirage or something, then it's like, okay, they're just hooking up next week. Let's go.
I feel like that's a really good strategy because it's like a good segue into like planning a date or knowing if they're into that kind of like activity.
Right.
I would say your profile is actually really good. I don't have a lot of improvements. Like you've done
enough girls have looked at it.
Exactly.
enough of my friends have looked at it.
This is like shockingly good.
Yo, that's so funny. She's like, yo, this has been curated. Yo, you know that TikTok's on, yo, somebody's cooked here.
Yeah.
Somebody's cooked here. Nah, that's so funny. No, but like to Yasha's point though, like that is like a big part of like, again, back to like the social media conversation, right? Of getting your personality outside because everyone's looking for that information, right? Like, and it kind of does expedite like it's crazy. Like the release of information and how accessible it is has actually made finding your people probably, even though it's made it in some ways a lot harder, if you do it right, it actually helps you find your people a lot easier too. Like, you know how easy it is to go find other creatives? Like, I know exactly who's who and who's doing what. Like, I can just look it up. If somebody come up to me, right, I can immediately look up and be like, oh, you do this. Whereas like, and that's what makes networking in today's society so much easier, right? Because you go outside, I know exactly who you are, right? Like from at least like a business to business perspective, right? And that in itself is so valuable because now you're not like trying to network into like specific rooms. Any room ends up being like, yo, anybody could be in here and I'll know who's in here.
I feel like that's the best thing about New York City. Because you don't know who you're in the room with. Like I was just like at a random bar talking to someone who was sitting at the bar too. I was there by myself in between work meetings. And they turned out to be like a celebrity makeup artist, like who's done like Kim Kardashian's makeup. And I was like, what? Like, this is insane.
And that I think is like one of the biggest benefits of like just like New York as a whole, right? Like there is a person or a group or like a culture for everybody out there, right? Like if you're looking for other creatives, there's a pocket for that. If you're looking for a makeup artist group, there's a pocket for that, right? And like kind of like with modeling even, right? Like it is like a little community within like a wider community, which in a city this big, you kind of need, right? Oh. Like you need to find your tribe, right? Like my therapist was telling me, she's like, yo, you need to find other people that are also like building, right? Because like, yo, like your friends from like back home, like have a specific like upbringing that they're like adhering to and a specific like life trajectory that they're adhering to. But if you find other creators in your space or whatever, building whatever you're building, or at least at the same mindset, like you'll feel like, hey, I belong here. The reason that you keep going back on the back and forth talking to me, right, is you can't identify which life is your life. Right? Because the people that you're looking at are telling you one thing, but you feel something completely different, right? And that's what makes New York so fly, right? Because you can just go find those people, right? Like I get to sit here and like talk to Wolf who's making a podcast, right? Like me and him is different struggles, but it's the same struggles really, right? Yeah. Like you in modeling, right? You get to talk to whoever like that you look at in the modeling space and immediately find them too, right?
Yeah, and exactly what you were saying on social media, like I've connected with so many models, literally just DM them and been like, hey, like I like what you do. Can you help me out with this? Literally I DM'd a model, didn't even realize she lived in LA. I was flying to LA for a wedding. She went out of her way after we DM'd for a little bit, found me a photographer. We set up a photo shoot. She showed up at the photo shoot, guided me through like unique poses and like things to do to build up my portfolio, and has sent me like agents and opportunities to connect on. And it was just because I sent her a DM on Instagram because I like found out that she was a brown model.
Yeah, no, like I think like that's like where the coolest shit is happening in the sense of like how quickly it is to get into those rooms, right? And because like, not that it's easy, but in certain professions, like some people are just willing to help, right? Yeah. Like Wolf has an episode of his podcast coming out where he's talking about like how like podcasts are basically a little bit more like forgiving as a more inclusive as a profession. Because again, even me, right, bro, I'm a regular 9 to 5 guy from Amazon. I have no fucking base anywhere. Like may a couple people know me in a certain couple circles, maybe, right? But like the people that I can just like hit up, right? If I was doing something else, you think those people would just like come to me or want to give me the look? But it's like, yo, they on the internet. I know who they are. I'm gonna just send them a DM, and yo, they might just help, right? Like, and I think that's like one of the coolest things. Again, back to like being in New York, right? It's like those people are like not only socially accessible, they're also just right there.
Yeah.
And we have every type and kind of person just right there.
Yeah, no, 100%. Do you feel like the competition also motivates you?
For sure. Like bro, I come here twice a week, every week. And every single time I get to see the competition. Not that it's competition like that, but I see a bunch of people here building, right? And I'm just like, oh, no. I have to do this, right? Like I have to go to work because they all are. Like Wolf's here 7 days a week, basically, right? Like, and he got a pot on top of it. Like I see people hustling and I'm just like, dog, like why do I think I'm so talented where like this shit's just gonna be so much easier for me?
Exactly. I feel like that's what I also love about New York. Like the fact that that there are going to be people like you, but then also those same people are going to motivate you to do your best and do better.
Yeah, and that's where I think like that type of motivation, super fire, because it's like self-motivating. But I had this conversation with Yash. I find that like level of motivation more needed in my actual friendships. Because seeing the work, obviously it inspires the fuck out of me. But there's going to be times where that's just not enough, right? I'm going to lean on my people's to be like, and remind me like, yo, like you kind of like putting your foot off the gas, right? Like I need you to go get after it, right? And it's important, again, that your friends feel that way too, right? I would hope, right? Like,
yeah, it's definitely important to have, you know, a supportive environment, right? Even in my own personal life, like if I haven't been to the gym in a couple of weeks, like, you know, my roommates will be like, yo, like why haven't you been going to the gym? Or like, you know, like, why are you eating Taco Bell for the 3rd night in a row? Right? Like get your shit together, right? Like they'll give me that little supportive, loving bump, right? And it's the same way with, you know, friendships and other like career aspects too.
yeah, guys be doing it in like the most fucked up way. Like we should be clowning, like we'll just be like, yo, Yash, you kind of looking that, and then you're just like, all right, I gotta go, right? Like we do it in like the most like, but it's important that it happens too, because like that's how I always look like, yo, it's love, right? Because like, bro, me and my roommate just be going at each other, right? But it's so like for the better, right? And that's what you have to distinguish. I think like a lot of us like look at friends and family and we're just like, yo, like I always look at the intent behind it, right? Is it moving me to be better, right? Because there's times where it's like, yo, like, are you sure you want to take that shot? And it's like, yo, are you babying me right now? Yeah. But then you also have to think about like, yo, where did that come from, right? Yeah. Like, and hope that your friendship, from knowing your friendship, that it comes from love, right? Do you feel like you guys, like, I'm gonna ask you both individually, do you guys think that you are like adequately pushing your friends, whether in your actions or actually verbally saying something?
I mean, it really depends on, you know, like aspect of life, like what they're dealing with, right? It also comes down to like prioritizing what you think they need the most, right? Like, let's say one of my friends needs to improve in like XYZ aspect, right? But like, if I just say like, get your shit together in your whole life, they're not going to listen, much. Right?
Yeah.
You have to like focus on 1 or 2 things. And also each person responds differently to like different types of love. You know, some people are tough love. Some people are like, you know, more like a soft, like, be nice about it, gentle love. So it just very depends. But, you know, as you do try to do the most you can, if you actually care about them, to have them improve in their life, because that will also impact your life because they are part of your circle.
And yo, that's something that like, yo, I be really adamant about now, that I need to make my friends better, right? I need them to be better, because some of the gaps could hurt me.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Like could hurt me, right? Like I was like, Yash wasn't here this past weekend, so I went kind of like solo to this. Not solo, because I knew a bunch of people were going to be there, but I went alone to Ariana's party, like the Volley party, right? Shout out to Drinks First. I went there by myself, and I was like, I'm like seeing some people that we know, and I'm just like, bro, like people are getting into small like fights and stuff like that, and I'm all like, damn, these are people I know, right? Like I was like standing right next as something like was, and it's like the stupidest shit, and I'm just like, oh, like these friends, like they're like distant friends, sure, right? But like some of those like gaps in character, bro, that could like that then directly impacts me. Mm-hmm. Like directly impacts me, because now I'm there, like we homies, like what does it look like, right? And I'm just like, yo, some of these gaps, like I'm like, damn, am I doing a disservice to myself Because I always think like, oh, these people aren't close enough to me to really affect me. So who gives a fuck? But then you're like, damn, like, do I have to just even curate my friends even tighter? How do you guys approach that? Do you guys think you could just curate friends tighter, or do you just try to like keep things like improve mad people in your life?
No, I think that's a lesson I've learned ever since moving to New York. Is like you can put in time and value, but it doesn't have to be for everyone. Like it depends, one, on like if they're also reciprocating, and two, if those are the kind of people that you do actually want to share your life with and like do want to share your happiness with and like keep close. And so my circle has definitely gotten smaller in like the last year or two, because I've realized that, hey, like these are people who maybe only care about going out. And like outside of that, like we don't really have a relationship. Like we're just like brunch and like friends, you know?
But you don't think so? Like, let me ask you this, right? Because like as you try to do more things that are like, let's just call them what they are, like just like outside. I'm just gonna call it as outside, right? Like modeling, like that takes a certain level of like networking, right? Yeah. So like that's like not the problem, but that's like what I'm kind of dealing with. I was like, nah, damn, I know a lot of people, right? But I always got to remind myself like who's my like inner circle and who's just like acquaintances. But like
exactly.
It's hard to differentiate, because I feel the need to like always be like, oh, I love all of y'all, right? But like you kind of have to differentiate, right?
You do. You have your inner circle, and then you have acquaintances or friends. And I feel like the almost beauty of New York is everyone is so busy, right? Mm-hmm. So you're like, if you do have acquaintances or people in your network that you like maybe meet every once in a while to keep that relationship going, but you're not hanging out all the time, or you're not texting each other, you're not keeping each other updated all the time, it's okay, because that person's also super busy with their life and their friends and like whatever they have going on. Like I feel like I have so many friends who I do appreciate as friends, but we meet like once every 2 months to catch up, and like it's still fine. Like we're still great friends. We still care about each other. We like keep each other in each other's network, but like there's still a good distance, and it works out because we're both crazy busy.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like it's a little bit tougher. I would say like for me, for my closer friends, right? Like the distant friends, like yeah, like because you know, like hey, whenever I see you, right? But I have to. It's like again tough to differentiate then like inner circle and then like the little bit outside like the inner circle, right? Because you're like, damn, I need to make time for all of these people, but at what capacity, at what speed, at what venue, right? Some of it organically happens, right? Like mutual friends' birthdays, like that definitely happens enough, especially if you have like a pretty interconnected like friend group. But you still kind of need to make time at some level for individual people sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? How do you guys like have like, I always like think about like everybody in New York is coming with this, has this struggle. Y'all have any like strategies around that, or how you guys kind of go about that, or do you guys kind of just let it happen organically?
I've tried to schedule, dinners, or if someone hits me up for dinner, like we'll get dinner, and then like let's say we schedule dinner for like next week, Wednesday, and then in this coming week, someone else also hits me up like let's hang, and I'm already getting dinner with this person, so I'm just like, yo, why don't we just all get dinner together, right? As long as everyone's cool together, right? I feel like that makes it a lot easier. Also scheduling more like impromptu hangs if we live close to each other, like kind of just like walks in the park or something like more chill like that. That's very easy to do. But yeah, managing, I feel like relationships like that is pretty hard as we all get very busy, right?
I feel like I get lucky because I feel like most of my friends are people who like just create the motion, right? So I don't have to. Right? Like, I don't, like, it takes, like, a huge pressure off, right? Because I'm like, yo, if it was up to me, like, I feel like a lot of my friendships, like, might falter. Like, I'm like, good about, like, texting and, like, making sure, like, people are good. But, like, I'm, like, pretty bad just because of, like, life to, like, plan things.
See, I'm the opposite. I'm the momentum person. Like, I'm the planner. So I, like,
drive
the minute Wednesday hits, I'm texting everyone. Like, what are we doing? What's going on? There's this event. Let's go here. Let's go do that. Because, like, I have this inner, like, social anxiety. Like, the weekend's going to hit and I have no plans. I'm going to be home alone doing nothing. And so it just kicks in every Wednesday. And I'm just texting everyone.
You're crucial to the friend group. Like, I would say, like, Yash is probably, like, a lot like that for me personally. I don't know about, like, our friend group. But, like, Yash for a lot of things, unless it's, like, something work-related, like, Yash is probably the one text. And even for work-related things, right? Like, Yash is probably texting me saying, like, yo, this is what we're going to. Or he'll just send me, like, the party full link, right? Yash is really good about that. But no, I think like those people are like super important, not just in like not just let's we're obviously talking about it from like a social level, but I think those people are so important on like a business level, right? Because like to Yash's credit, like Yash knows kind of like what rooms and places that I would want to be at and probably should be at. And honestly, some of it is definitely like also like overlap in like our interests and like what we're trying to like do, but some of it is also like like he just happens to be like aware of these things because of like, I don't know, your media consumption. Is that what we want to call it? Your interconnectedness to the streets of New York. But I think like a lot of the times, like now I see like every elite collective, I feel like has to have a motion person.
Yeah.
Like
I've always been that person. Like even in college, like the friend group, I was always the one who was like, okay, these are our plans for the week.
Yeah, because like think about it, like all the fun things that happen, right? Like they don't just like, again, even like from a social perspective, don't just happen, right? Like I always think about like people going on like Cancun trips, Miami trips, right? Like we know more than anybody, right? That takes somebody to go drive that, a majority of that, right? Like think about it. I was going to the Hamptons. Somebody got to drive that, right? Like doing like you, because without it, a lot of the flyer shit in life you can't really do. That's why I those like people that are just elite level planners for their friend groups. Are you good?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a project manager.
You're a project manager at Vayner, bro. Yo, like I forgot about that.
I'm like a type A, like eldest daughter in the family. Like I plan all the trips for the family, for the friends, for my boyfriend. Like I do all the planning. Yo,
that needs to be. I need a study on that because how I think every like elite brown woman I see, right, a lot or not every single, but most of them, bro, eldest. Like that's why they're so good, right? It's because of that, bro. My cousin, fly. Like amazing, like does everything. Like not even just like in her personal life, her job. Like she's just super hyper efficient, right? I see that in so many like eldest daughters, right? Like our producers have like like they just be able to take care of shit, right? Because they've had to do that their entire lives, right? Like
yeah.
I was like I joked around and asked my cousin sometimes. I'm like, yo, like what do you think is harder, like project managing at your job or project managing our entire family growing up? Because our family was so inefficient.
Oh my God, brown parents are just, they like love last minute things. And then they also like to change everything. Like they like don't plan anything till the last minute. And then once you plan it and provide it to them, they're like, oh, let's just completely change it as well.
Let me tell you the craziest thing. In our family, we didn't ever have outside of like really big things like weddings and stuff, we didn't have the idea of like a set plan or a set date. Like I would ask my mom like 2 weeks before, she'd be like, yeah, like it's probably gonna be this weekend at this time. Like I was like, dog, how is there not like a date and time attached to this invite? Like, we're just expected to show up. Like, we would have so many Thanksgivings where somebody would show up at 9 a.m. The next person might not arrive until like 1 p.m.
Oh my God.
And then the rest of the family is coming at 6 p.m., right? And I'm like, dog, how is this even possible?
Yeah.
Like, because it's just people just like going by like the flow of things, right? And I was just like, now, like, yo, we stopped that. Like me and my like our cousins, like of our generation, like if people invite us places, like our family, extended aunts, uncles, whatever, unless that should come with a date, time, and an advance notice, we just not coming. Right? Like we're just not coming because like they probably were able to do that because their only social lives was the family.
Exactly. That totally makes sense.
Right? But like for us, like, yo, we got to balance friends that are like family that's family, our jobs, our careers, relationships, right? Like shit is tough.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if your family ever did that, but like my family also doesn't think I have a job. Like anytime I go home to visit or anything, they're like, oh, just like, let's just like all hang out at 2 p.m. on a Thursday. And I'm like, I'm working. They're like, why are you working at 5:01? Like, I thought your job was over at 5. And I'm like, this is crazy. Do you not understand the concept of like working remotely in a job?
Yeah, but the crazy part is like you also kind of just want to. Like that like that's what makes it really tough, right? Like that's like really why I thought like I started working so much harder after I left the crib. Because like when you're home, like you want to like chill with your mom, chill with your sister, right? Have the cousins over, right? Like and just like fuck off, right? Like that's like the best thing. Like I'm surrounded by people I've like known my entire life. Life is good, right?
Yeah.
But like it kind of makes you like kind of complacent in that sense, right? Because when everything is happy and you're all kicking, just chilling.
Yeah.
Right? Like we always talk about like people who never, like me and Yash talk about this all the time. Like when people who never like move out of their like hometowns, right? A part of that is also you're just complacent with like you're happy and content with life. And I think you're comfortable. And I think that sometimes that's like, again, it's not a bad thing if you accept it and you're happy, right? But the bad thing is like if you do want to accomplish something maybe like what we deem big, because obviously like having a family and all that is big, right? But if you want to accomplish that, probably gonna have to like go to work, right? Like you can't just be chilling with like the homies from back home. It's tough, right? Like how are you gonna create any type of ecosystem? It's just you and your homies from back home, unless y'all went out and actually like did something.
No, 100%. Yeah, I mean, like I feel like that was one of the scariest things I've ever done, but it was so needed for me to achieve the things that I wanted to.
Where are you originally from?
Arkansas.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like I don't know why Arkansas just made me so laugh. Like, it's just like, yeah, like you know why people? Because bro, like, what are they doing in Arkansas?
Exactly.
No, let me not shit on Arkansas. No, what do people do in Arkansas? I was thinking about that, like because y'all have obviously lived and gone to school in like places that aren't like super bustling. I mean, I guess you right, but like, what do people do in those places? Like, you think the pace of life is anything like New York's?
People my age right now in my hometown, what they're doing? Getting married, raising kids.
Really?
Trying to get married. That's
like
about
their
it.
20s don't look anything like our 20s.
Their 20s are like our 30s, maybe. Yeah.
Where are you from?
I moved around a lot, but small towns in Illinois, Texas, Houston.
Basically the rest of America for you two guys. Like, like I don't like, this is like my inner like East Coast bias, right? Like I look at the US, like I still probably do, but like for a long time, I look at that shit as New York, Miami, like not even Miami, Florida, Texas, California. The rest of the US, I don't know where anything is. Like you could hand me a US map right now, bro. I could name Pennsylvania, maybe, right? Everything.
Arkansas.
I have no fucking idea. What is it next to, actually?
Texas.
You could have told me, like, and that's how I know I'm wrong, right? Because sometimes I'll be in Texas and like my family will be like, yeah, like we're just gonna drive up to like, I was like, how can you even get to that state? Like I thought that shit was like mad far, right? But like I was like, what? Nah, when I was in Columbus, like that was like the craziest thing. Like, cause we like my friends would be like, yeah, we just drive from like Columbus to like Indiana. I was like, yo, isn't Indiana like mad west? And they're like, bro, that's where you are, right? Basically. And I'm like, damn, my US geography sucks.
Yeah, people love road trips in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have nothing but time. Like all the shit that like I think like people deem as like fun, bro. All of that shit is because y'all got all the time in the world, right? It's like, no, it's so scenic. I was like, yo, you know what's more scenic, right? Like being able to hang out with your friends and like actually like go do something. Nah, like I love road trips. I mean, not shit on road trips and everybody doing them just because of my Midwest bias. I was actually surprised though. Like I think like certain places have surprised me in the terms of like the US, where like people do got motion in other major cities. It's just like different things, right? Like again, like it's like obviously people are making music and doing podcasts out of like Texas, right? Like obviously people are making like podcasts and music, I'm sure, out of Arkansas. Where's the Crime Junkie girls from? Indiana, I think. Indiana, right? But like they again, huge following, right? But out of fucking Indiana, like that's like a huge $1 million corp, right? Because of how big their podcast is. Yeah. So, what is like next? Are you doing? Do you have anything coming up?
Like in life?
No. In terms of like modeling, like you just did. You just did Paris.
I just did Paris. I'm trying to get signed to an agency.
Okay.
So I feel like that's kind of the next big thing.
Yo, what does the process look like? I did a shoot for like some South Asian brand, and I was just talking to shout out to Alysha, but I was talking to Alysha and she was just talking to me. What does the process of getting signed look like?
Honestly, it's pretty easy to apply, not so much to get accepted, right? But like, you would go on like a website for a modeling agency, literally just click become a model. You submit your measurements. You submit your digitals, which are like just like you in your most natural state, wearing all black and like heels if you're a girl. You take 4 different angles, your headshot, full body, profile, and 3/4, and you submit it with a portfolio if you have one. You can fully get signed by an agency without even having any experience if they like your look. And then there's like stages.
Is that common?
I think it's common if you're the kind of person who's like 5'11", size 0, like you're walking by and everyone's asking if you're a model. Like that kind of person, it's probably easier. If you're anywhere like in between, not so much. They also usually require you to be full-time modeling. So like if you do get accepted, they usually ask you if you either have like a flexible job, like waitressing or bartending or something like that. because they will randomly like send you auditions. So like,
what's and I like would never feel comfortable asking this, but we've had such a chill convo.
Yeah.
What is like when you first start off modeling, right? Like obviously like your agency is not like paying you, right? Like you're getting paid per gig.
Yeah. So what happens is you should not be paying your agency. Like that is a scam. There's a lot of agencies that are scams like that. You should never be paying your agency. The clients will always pay for you to model, and then your agency will take a 20% commission off of everything they help you book. And that's pretty standard. Like across the industry, they will always take 20%.
Okay, curious. Like I see like people do like, okay, for example, like Hermes like the runway show, right? Like what does like a gig like that pay?
So it depends on what kind of model you are. Runway actually pays the least. So unless you're like Kendall Jenner, who's going to make like millions off of a runway show, you actually get paid very little in comparison to like a commercial job. For example, like if you did a print job for like Target or like a makeup brand like commercial, like Dove or something, you'd probably get like anywhere from like 8 to 12K. Whereas like runway, you might get like a couple hundred.
What level of model are we talking about? Like when you say the Target print job, right? Like what level of model is that? Is that somebody who's like worked their way up, right? Like, or is that somebody who's just like, yo, like I hit it, intro gig? That's
definitely not an intro gig. That's definitely like I feel like the massive benefit to having an agency is you have access to gigs like that will pay in the thousands. So like right now, because I'm a freelance model and I'm not signed to an agency, I get a lot of gigs that pay maybe like $800, $700, $300, like a couple $100 for like a day's work or a half day's work. But when you get signed, you kind of like unlock access to like being paid in the thousands per shoot.
Damn. I'm assuming like at that level, like your agency is handling like all the business behind it, right? Like
they are
negotiating.
Right? Exactly. They're like pitching you. They're a lot of times it's called development. So they're training you, guiding you, making sure you're taking pictures that showcases you the best. Like there's also a lot of different categories of modeling, which a lot of people don't know. So like the reason people get so upset when I'm like, I'm 5'3" and a model, it's not because I'm like, oh, I only do runway and like I'm breaking all these barriers on runway. It's because I do so many other kinds of modeling where height does not matter. Like beauty, which is like only shoulders and up, or skincare, or parts, which is like only my hands or only like, like different parts of my body, like an arm or something. Or commercial, which is like those little Subway ads you see, like different types of modeling pay different amounts, and like there are different qualifications you need for each one. So it just kind of like depends on what you're doing, and your agency will develop you and train you and like help you understand what category you fit the best.
Yash, what part of your body would you try to model?
I've been thinking of hand modeling. Like, look.
Yo, Alysha, I need a professional opinion. Yo, show her your hands.
It could use a little bit moisturizing. I'll give it that. But,
no, they're pretty strict when it comes to hand modeling. Like you can, like your nails have to be clean, your hands have to be like super moisturized, and you also have to be able to be very dainty with them. Like when you're like holding a cup, like a coffee cup.
Yeah, I'm very good with
Yash be dainty.
Yeah?
I'm out here, yeah.
Oh, if you've got the dainty part, we need some like, you need to do a little photo shoot of just your hands. Only hands?
Yes.
Just like,
Yo, do we think that we could get Yash signed as a hand model?
We'll set it up.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times, especially with guys, if you have facial hair, they'll want to do like for example, you're like reaching to get like a cup of coffee, and they'll like cut it off with like where your beard is and your arm and your hand. Like that's what you.
Oh, perfect. That's actually the perfect cutoff.
Yeah.
Yash is like, if there's a way, it could only be the beard.
And those actually pay a lot.
Just the beard?
Just for your hand and beard, yeah.
Bro, I'm gonna be taking I'm gonna like try to OD on biotin vitamins. That's the one that grows hair. I think we're wrapping up, but guys, this is fun. Next time we just have like a thing, like we should do this again. This was I had a good time. Thank y'all for listening to Aftershock Adda. I had Yash and Alysha. If I can, I'm gonna get Yash's Hinge profile somewhere in the bottom here. I don't know if that's a thing. Can I provide his link? But there's
anyone's interested, feel free to reach out. Instagram also posted in the link.
Yo, honestly, guys, can you guys send the DMs to me, right? Because I might start to turn that into a piece of content. It might be like a Yash dating show.
He's my agent. Everything goes to him. We can make you get you on the show too. Also, do a little live date.
I know. Yash, be honest. At some point, you're gonna try to use this as a pickup line, right? Like, go up to somebody and be like, "Oh, like you want to be on Ron's podcast?" Yeah. We're boys.
Hey, we can start a new segment. You know, a little dating section too.
I feel like people would watch that.
The dating segment, bro. Like, They See Dating did like crushed. So.
Dude, I've been watching it. I've been binging it. And
they crushed.
I love it.
No, they crushed.
It's like my guilty pleasure.
All right, cool. Yo, thank y'all for listening. Peace.